Tedious is tiresome. A play or a movie can be tedious. A person can be tedious. Talks too much, probably about the same things over and over again. Tenable, that which can be held. A view is tenable if it can be held. A view is untenable if it can't be held. What might it's a tenable view to hold that this American election has been going on for too long. It's an untenable view to hold, for example, the creationism. Creationism, the literal interpretation of Genesis, that is God creating the earth and the world in 7 days, I think is an untenable view. Science isn't perfect, but I find that view untenable. Creationism is the opposite of evolution. Evolution is a tenable view. Creationism is an untenable view. Tenacious, holding on tight to something, not giving up. You must you must study vocabulary tenaciously, not give up. And to repeat Dr. Shin's and my constant reminder, if you're serious, you will always review words that you've done before. You will never simply advance and advance and advance and assume that you will remember what you've done before. Tensile, able to hold something, never used that I know of. Tentative, good word. A tentative agreement is an agreement according to which, okay, let's agree for the moment that this is true, and let's move on with our project. We only agree, our agreement is only tentative though, temporary. A tentative. If he is tentative in his actions, he's not very decisive, hesitant, tentative. Tenuous, good. Tenuous means very similar to tentative, holding, but for some reason not holding very long. Difficult to make that distinction. Tenuous is not very used. Terminal, having an end. A terminal sickness will kill that person. Terminal, having an end. To terminate is to end. To terminate an agreement, we end that agreement. By the way, life is terminal. That is, we die. It has an end. Terrestrial, having to do with this earth. Extraterrestrial, having to do with something outside this earth. Man is a terrestrial animal, but perhaps some days we will travel to other planets, celestial bodies. Testimony is that which we offer, that is, in court, a person offers testimony, that is, if I saw some crime that was committed, I testify in court. My testimony is either accepted or rejected as valid. Therapeutic, having to do with therapy. In modern usage, something, for example, if I can talk about my problems with someone, especially if someone has similar problems, this is, we say, therapeutic, meaning it helps me. A thesis is a hypothesis, is one kind of thesis. A thesis is a point of view that I defend. It's my point of view. It's my idea. The antithesis, we did a long time ago, is the opposite point of view that will disagree with my thesis. People say, it is my thesis that something is going to happen, or something did happen, past or future. And then you present an antithesis, or the opposite view or thing. Thrift. Frugality. If I am thrifty, I don't spend money very often. I save. I am frugal. Thrift is frugality, not spending much money. To thrive is to flourish, to do well. Some people thrive when they live in foreign countries, and some people do not. They miss their homeland too much. Thrust, I thrust my hand into something. That's a verb, VT. That's the most important. Thrust. Now, thrust and thwart, these TH words are usually not Latinate. Now, thesis certainly is Latinate, but thrift is Anglo-Saxon, English, thrive, English, thrust, English, thwart, certainly English, but they're the first ones that I can remember here for a long time. All the others are Latinate. To thwart someone is to prevent that person from succeeding, from doing what he wants to do. He thwarted my attempt to get the attention of the audience. He prevented me from succeeding in my attempt. Timorous is timid, fearful. I'm timorous. If I'm timorous, I'm timid and fearful, not bold. A token, the word is used in modern usage. A token can be a piece of paper or a subway token that is not a coin. I buy a token, I put it in the subway where the machine, I put it in the bus in place of a token is something in place of something else. A token can be in the place of a coin, but more important maybe, in the past, in the civil rights, during the civil rights movement, and the civil rights movement in a way never ends and never should, not only for black people, but for other minorities who are who don't receive their rights, women too. Okay, I have a company. Among my top leaders of that company are no women. People criticize me for this. I hire a woman just so that I have a token. That is, look, I have a woman among my leaders. I give her no responsibility, no authority. She is a token. Tolerant is an adjective that means willing to endure others' perhaps bad habits, bad behavior. I'm tolerant of his rudeness. Religious tolerance, of course, is famous. That is, in a pure sense, I tolerate other religions than my own. I tolerate, next word. Torture, noun and verb. Verb is, I guess, more important. He was captured by the enemy and tortured for information, but he did not reveal what he knew. In a looser sense, it's a torture noun. It's a torture to wait for mail, let's say, that you are expecting and that does not arrive. Transaction, a business transaction normally is a deal. Transaction is a nice word for deal. All Latin. Transcribe is to write from one surface to another surface. To transcribe some event, though, becomes to write about it. Okay, transitory, lasting only briefly. Life is transitory. Happiness is transitory. Love is transitory. Pleasure is transitory. Fleeting, passes away quickly. Translucent, admitting light. It's the opposite of opaque, which we had yesterday, I think, or the day before. Opaque, if something is opaque, it does not admit light. If it's translucent, it does. To transmit is to send across. Transcribe by writing, transmit by some other medium. Television transmits some events, sends it across the air. Transparent, one can see through it. Now, something is transparent, glass is transparent perhaps, but his efforts to conceal his true intentions were transparent. That is, we could see through them. To transpose is to put across. Again, the prefix trans means across, transatlantic, transpacific. To transpose is to move over from one place to another. Transpose, not very used. Traverse is to cross. To traverse the ocean, cross the ocean. Tread is to walk on, maybe softly, maybe in a somewhat almost violent way. Tread on something. To tread on the rights of others is to walk on those rights, violate them. Tremendous just means very impressive. Trespass as a verb, if I trespass on the property of other people, I walk on it or touch it even without their permission. In the Lord's Prayer, which you should all learn, whether you're Buddhist or nothing, or that is, have no religious attachment, or Christian, you should learn the Lord's Prayer. Forgive us our trespasses. Our trespasses are our sins, we would say, violations of other people's, of other people, or of laws. A trial is a legal procedure or proceeding which tries, T-R-Y, tries me for some crime perhaps. Tribulation, good word to avoid because it's so destroyed by the cliche trials and tribulations. Recognize it, and in fact recognize it as a cliche. I think you know the word cliche. Must know that word. Tribulation, never use trials and tribulations. Never. Use tribulations alone, that might be a little impressive. A tribulation is a misfortune, an upheaval in one's life. Tributary. Tributary can be a river, streams that are tributaries to a river which flows into the ocean or the sea. Countries may be tributaries of other countries, if in the past anyway. Korea was a tributary for a while, I think, of China. That is, they had to pay some tribute, not much used except historically. Trifling, insignificant, some trifling amount of money. Insignificant. Trite. Cliches are trite. Trite is an adjective, though. Cliche is a noun. If something is trite, that means it's said over and over again, or it's commonplace, lacking originality entirely. Trivial, trifling, insignificant. Triviality. I was shocked by the triviality of his objections, by the triviality of his thinking. He thought on such a low, childish level, or enslaved to the public media, kind of. Tropical, associated really with the South Pacific, tropical island, in the tropics. I'm not sure what the tropics means, but the South Pacific, Tahiti, etc.